Welcome back to the I Dare You podcast. I'm your host, Darrin Johnson, and this is episode 209. This podcast, it's all about you and helping you reach the big goals that you have for your life. And what next steps will you take to get there? And today, we are talking about something that's quietly killing your dreams. It's that voice in your head that says, who do you think you are? It's that feeling in your gut when you walk into the room and think, I don't belong here. It is imposter syndrome. And here's what nobody tells you. If you're not experiencing it, you're playing small. Let me say that again because it's important. If you're not experiencing imposter syndrome, you're playing small. And here's what I mean by that. Imposter syndrome, it is not the problem. Playing it safe is the problem. And today, I'm going to give you a 3-step framework that will completely reframe how you think about this feeling so that you can stop shrinking and start thriving. Are you ready? Let's go. First, we got to establish the truth about imposter syndrome. Here's what I want you to understand right out of the gate. Imposter syndrome, it is normal. In fact, it's more than normal. It's a sign that you're doing something right. Research shows that up to 70% of people experience imposter syndrome at some point in their lives. I think that's very low. I think 70% of us experience that every single day. You know who experiences it the most? High performers. Yeah, you. The people who are actually achieving things, the ones pushing boundaries, the ones stepping into new territory, either by accident or on purpose. Maya Angelou, she's one of the most celebrated writers and poets of our time. She once said, I've written 11 books, but each time I think they're going to find out now. I run a game on everybody and they're going to find me out. That's Maya Angelou. I mean, think about that. Now, here's something fascinating from the research that's going to blow your mind. The more competent you become, the more competent that you are, the more self-doubt you experience. How about that? See, there's this concept called the Dunning-Kruger effect. It shows that people with low competence often have inflated confidence. They don't know what they don't know, so they think they've got it all figured out. If you're a parent of teenagers, I think you know what I'm talking about. Again, it's the Dunning-Kruger effect. But the experts, they experience more self-doubt. Why? Because they understand the complexity of what they're doing. They see the gaps. They recognize how much there is to learn. So here's the paradox. Feeling like an imposter is actually evidence of your competence. Now, if you knew nothing, you'd feel confident. And the fact that you're aware of what you don't know means you're sophisticated enough to see it. You're operating at a level where you understand the nuances. So when that imposter feeling shows up, and it does for every one of us, myself included, maybe especially me, it's not telling you that you're not qualified. It's the opposite. It's telling you you're competent enough to recognize complexity. You know the game. See, here's the shift I want you to make. Imposter syndrome isn't a syndrome at all. It's not something wrong with you. It's simply your brain's response to doing something new, to stepping outside your comfort zone, to growing. And here's the kicker. You should be putting yourself in positions where you feel like an imposter on purpose. Because when you feel like you might not belong, that's exactly where you need to be. That's exactly where growth happens. It's the rooms where you don't feel like you should be walking into. That's your room. That's where you prove to yourself what you're capable of. So stop waiting until you feel ready. Stop waiting until you feel qualified. That's the trap, because that day will never come. A day turns into a month, turns into a year, and the loop continues. So instead, say yes to the opportunity. Take that promotion. Make that move. Start the business. Launch the podcast. Write the book. Start that passion project. And then show them what you can do. Now, let me give you a proven 3-step framework for overcoming imposter syndrome and thriving through it. This framework works. Now, I have to tell you, I've been using this consciously for about 15 years because I've had to. I have had so many experiences where I felt like I'm about ready to be found out. I can remember like yesterday getting that big promotion, and the people reporting into me were 20, 30 years older than I was. I felt like an imposter. Every time I'm ready to go out on stage and deliver a message, one of the voices that I hear in my mind is, nobody's going to want to hear this. What makes you think that your message is going to connect? That's imposter syndrome. So every one of us goes through it. So this episode is as much for me as it is for you. So let's get to the 3-step framework. It works. I've used it. I want you to use it too. Simple. Step 1, find a mentor. This first step is find someone who has been exactly where you are right now, someone who's walked the path you're walking, someone who felt like an imposter and made it through to the other side. Because here's what I've learned. People, they really want to help you, especially when they've been through what you're going through. But you have to ask, and you have to be candid and vulnerable. So don't just show up to a potential mentor trying to prove how much you know. Show up with vulnerability and confidence. Something you might say would be, I'm stepping into something brand new and I do not have all the answers. Can you give me a hand? Or perhaps it's this, I'm in my brand new role and I do not know what I'm doing. I have no clue, but I'm going to figure it out along the way. Could you help me do it? Something like that is both confident and vulnerable and sincere. You really want their help. And that combination is magnetic. I've done this countless times in my career. When I was stepping into leadership roles that have really felt way too big for me, I found people who had done it. And I asked great questions. I learned from their mistakes. I modeled their success. I didn't try to be them. I didn't try to copy them, but I took their learnings. They've done it before, and I tried to then make it my own. You see, there are really no new ideas in the world right now. Someone has done it before. So have the confidence to ask someone, find that mentor. That's not a sign of weakness. It's exactly the opposite. And you know what happened from my experience when I found that mentor? My confidence grew, not because I suddenly knew everything, but because I had a guide. I had someone holding my hand, someone with their arm around me, walking this path with me, someone who reminded me that feeling uncertain is part of the process. So right now, I want you to think of one person who's maybe 5 to 10 years ahead of you in the area where you're feeling like an imposter. You got that person? And then reach out this week. Just ask for 20 minutes of their time. Be specific about what you need help with and watch how they will react. They'll give you time. They will help you. So that is step 1. Here's step number 2. Be a mentor. I know. First step is to find a mentor. Step 2, I'm giving you a curveball. I want you to be a mentor to someone else. Now, this, everyone, is the cheat code that most people miss. Get the focus off yourself and mentor someone else. Now, I know what you're thinking. Darrin, I'm the one. I'm the one who feels like an imposter. How can I mentor someone? Well, here's how. There is someone 5 to 10 years behind you who would kill for the knowledge that you have right now, the experience that you've had. Yes, the lessons that you've learned along the way. You see, when you shift your focus from, I don't know enough, to how can I help someone else? Something magical happens. You realize you know way more than your mind is giving you credit for. You see how far you've actually come, and your confidence skyrockets with that one move. This is one of the most powerful mindset shifts I've ever experienced. When I'm feeling uncertain or inadequate, I ask myself, who can I help today? And immediately, it's like a drug. Instantly, the imposter feeling, it starts to fade and replaced with confidence. Because here's the reality. You cannot be an imposter and a mentor at the same time. You can't. So here's your move. Identify one person you can mentor. It could be someone in your company, someone in your community. Maybe it's a friend who's just starting out. Offer to them, hey, let's grab some coffee. Share what you've learned. Pour into them. Find out how they're doing. You're going to walk away from that conversation feeling completely different about yourself. Okay, now for step 3. You know what it is. You know it. Step 3 is get into action. Now, this third step, it's where most people, they get stuck. You have to take action. Here's the kiss of death, allowing imposter syndrome to paralyze you. If that happens, the imposter syndrome wins. To keep you on the sidelines, to prevent you from starting. All right, now I need you to take this in. You do not have to see the whole staircase. You just need to take the first step, and then one more, and then one more. When you're driving at night, you're seeing as far as the headlights take you. That doesn't mean that you're putting it in park because it's dark. You just need to keep going because the headlights will be there. Action creates confidence, not the other way around. You know what kills imposter syndrome faster than anything? Doing the thing you're afraid to do and then surviving it. getting the result, proving to yourself that you can handle it. And here's what happens to your brain when you do that. When you do hard things on purpose, when you stay in action, you train your brain to expect hard things. It's just what we do. You rewire your neural pathways to look for challenges instead of avoiding them. You become someone who does hard things. That's part of your identity. And 90 days from now, you're going to look back at this moment and think, what was I so afraid of anyway? What was I so worried about? I got this, but only if you start today. I mean, think back to the times in your life that you thought, there's no way I can do this. Either you're completely overwhelmed or you think you're way over your head and you think to yourself, there's no way I'm going to be able to handle this. And then suddenly, 6 months later, you look back and you scratch your head and say, I have no idea how I did it. Well, I know how you did it. You got into action and you proved to yourself you did it. You didn't stop. You didn't get paralyzed. You kept moving, you kept growing, and your confidence grew along the way. So I think it's important for us to reframe the feeling. So let me leave you with this thought. What if imposter syndrome isn't something to overcome at all? What if it's something to embrace? Yeah, I said it. What if that uncomfortable feeling is actually your internal GPS telling you you're on the right path, you're growing, you're pushing boundaries? I mean, the people who never feel like imposters, I feel sorry for them because they're the ones playing it safe. They're staying in their comfort zone and they're not growing. Peyton Manning once said that sweaty palms, if you don't have that feeling often, you're not growing. And I believe that in my core. But here's the real insight that I want you to walk away with today. You're not overcoming imposter syndrome. You're becoming a different person. Think about that. That old version of you should feel like an imposter in this new role. I mean, that's the entire point. You're evolving. You're stepping into a bigger version of yourself. You know, we all have our smartphones, and every once in a while, a photo will show up from last year or 5 years and 10 years. You ever had that moment where you don't recognize that person? I know. Maybe it's because you've gotten older or you've lost weight or you've gained weight. But no, I'm talking emotionally. When you look at that person and you think to yourself, wow, I am completely different today. I'm proud of myself for how much I've grown, but I don't recognize that person at all. So now for you, that VP role that you want, the old you was not qualified for it. It wasn't. You weren't. But the person you're becoming absolutely is. That business you're starting, that old you didn't have the skills or the mindset for it, but the person you're becoming does. That discomfort is not a bug in the system. It's proof that the transformation is working. So stop asking, stop beating yourself up. How do I stop feeling like an imposter? That's the wrong question. Start asking, who am I becoming? Because you're not the same person you were 6 months ago. You're not the same person you were last year. And you're definitely not going to be that same person 6 months from now, whether you reach the goal you're going for or not. The point of this whole life is that we are growing and becoming something different when we are in action. You're evolving, you're growing, expanding into the person your future requires you to be. And that old version of you, let them feel like an imposter. Go ahead, because they are. They're not equipped for where you're going. But the new you, oh my, the one who's showing up every day, taking action, finding mentors, helping others, that version of you is exactly who you need to be. So you're done playing small. That is so yesterday. You're going to find a mentor. You're going to be a mentor, and you're going to take action even when you're scared, especially when you're scared, even when you feel unqualified, even when that voice says, and that voice, we all have it, who do you think you are? Because here's the answer to that question. You're someone who refuses to play small. You're someone who's becoming the person your dreams require you to be. Okay, everyone, it's time for your I Dare You challenge for this week. First, identify one person who's ahead of you in an area where you're feeling like an imposter. So maybe you're a soccer coach and you don't know anything about soccer. You're in sales and there's a salesperson that you know has got it all going on and you feel like an imposter compared to them. Maybe you're on a sports team and you don't feel qualified to be on the team. Every one of us has that feeling in an area of our life. Reach out to them by Friday. Reach out and ask for 20 minutes of their time and be specific about what you need their help with. and tell them why you want to meet. I admire you. I love what you do. I've been watching you, and I find myself wanting to become even better at what I'm doing. Do you have 20 minutes to sit down and talk? I'd love to pick your brain and learn more about what you've learned along the way. I think you could help me. You'll be surprised. You'll be amazed at how people will just open their arms and say, absolutely, let's meet. Okay, here's number 2. Here's the second part of your I Dare You challenge. Identify one person that you can mentor. You know, someone who's where you were 5 years ago. Got that person in mind? Reach out and offer help to them. Pour into them. Watch your confidence grow as you help them become the best version of themselves. And third, take one action this week that scares you. Just one thing you've been putting off because you don't feel ready. I'm telling you, I'm asking you, I'm giving you permission to do it anyway. Send the email. Ask her out. Make the pitch. Have the conversation. Start the project. You don't have to worry about the 10th step in any of that. Just take the first step. You may get a no, and that no is okay because you're one step closer to the yes. It's all about getting action and moving closer to it. And when that imposter feeling shows up, and it will, say thank you. Embrace it, because it means you're exactly where you need to be. Remember, for your life to be different, your days have to be different. So stop playing small and start today. Okay, everyone, that's it. That's episode 209. And if this hit you in the right spot, share it with someone who needs to hear it. This episode will definitely help them out. Everyone, make sure you're following the show so you do not miss an episode every week. Every Tuesday morning, I drop a brand new episode, and every one is dynamite. Everyone, thank you so much for listening to the I Dare You podcast and for sharing. You know, I have not mentioned this, but Spotify has these numbers they call Spotify Wrapped. And did you know that the I Dare You podcast is in the top 4% of most talked about and most shared podcasts out of the millions? And that is not on me. That is on you. You're talking about it. You're sharing it. I just want you to know that your efforts, Spotify is definitely noticing that. And I just want to thank you for that as well, because our numbers are spiking thanks to you. Thanks for being here. Now get ready for episode 210 next week. You guessed it, another incredible episode. Between now and then, go do the things that scare you and embrace imposter syndrome. I'll see you next week.